So yeah, speaking of brands, could we kind of talk? I saw somebody wearing Adidas, and I'm cutting Adidas off. I don't really even have a lot of Adidas, but I'm just kidding. I'm not one of those crazy fans. But have you been on Instagram a lot last week? Like, have you seen all Kanye's posts? I don't really be on Instagram a lot. Like, not gonna hold you. I really don't like my least favorite app. Very boring. But I did go check in to see what Kanye was talking about because there was a lot of stuff going on. So I did go creep to see what he was talking about. And basically, it's Kanye versus Adidas and Kanye versus Gap right now. So honestly, this is like really complex because from a mental health standpoint, and I think I told you this too when his rants were starting, it's hard not to feel, especially experiencing, not me personally, but witnessing manic episodes. It's hard for me not to feel like it's some form of mania because it's like the rapid fire. But then I think understanding more of what Kanye is going through makes me feel like he kind of was just low key behind the scenes, and that something happened that just made him fed up. Like he tried to keep things private, right? Because usually I feel like he comes to the internet. He says he comes to the internet when he feels like he's at wit's end. Like he feel like he tried in private and he tried and tried, but he kept getting played, and that's when he comes to the internet to bring attention to it and bring pressure. So like with Adidas, for example, I think the issue with that is like there's just funky stuff going on with his deal. Like I don't really know the ins and out, and like I didn't really read everything in full. But it seems there was like a lot of funky stuff with his deal. Like the main thing that he has a problem with Adidas is like they're like releasing shoes without his permission. His shoes. They're like recreating shoes of his. Like you could tell it's like dupes. Like even the shoes that everybody wears with the they kind of look like just like a giant web. You know what I mean?
Now,
Like these shoes. Oh, he don't got no pictures anymore. Dang, he deleted everything. I know Diddy posted it though. So these shoes look similar to like those shoes. And the person who made this actually was somebody else. Some person who made this, who crossed it out, was somebody else that was supporting Kanye publicly. Somebody else big. I forgot who it was. But so recreating his shoes, doing weird stuff. When he's literally a big factor of your company. So he just wants more respect, more creative roles, to be in the boardrooms. That was always his main thing. He wants to be in the boardrooms, like be in the meetings when it's like how you having meetings about me, like without me there.
but okay.
So yeah, he just wants more stake, more ownership, more control.
He could pay for that.
How?
You buy stock in the company. That's how that works. It's a partnership. It's
Well,
not.
no, but you still have to be hired to be a creative director. Like you can't buy a creative director role. Like it's it's more
Well,
than.
creative director doesn't put you on the board. So what does he want? Creative director?
I think he wants both. I mean, okay, I see what you mean by the board thing, but I think he just wants to be in a room where these decisions are being made about his shoes, where they're selling, all that stuff. And I feel like that's not a crazy ask. Like, you're kind of not going to use somebody, and then when they want more input, you're like, nah, like we're gonna do what we want to do with your design, your image. And I know like the thing is at the end of the day, he's working with them, but as like these companies do, they benefit so much off of people, especially like black culture, black people, our ideas, our style, everything, like our coolness, they profit off of it. But then you're not even allowed to make those decisions about their product, like, your own product. Basically, it's kind of crazy. You know what I mean? So do you think he's like justified in his anger? Like, I mean, apparently he got what he wanted. Like he said, him and his team figured it out, and like they came to a middle ground with Adidas. So apparently he's happy with whatever this outrage created. And you see like Diddy's publicly showing support. Like a lot of people are publicly showing support of Kanye.
I don't know where to fall on this because this is one of those things where art and business don't mix. So I would assume that there's people on Adidas's design team that work and that worked on the Yeezy. So if you have people, if that is to be true, because it might not be true, it might be Kanye's own designers at Yeezy, if that even exists. Mm-hmm. But if they are designers at Adidas specifically, and they use the things that they create, because remember, yes, Kanye did make the 350, but it was also a team of like 3 or 4 other people that actually made the Yeezy, like in terms of actually Like Kanye, I think has ideas, he sketches them, whatever. But the people that actually put these things together, make it feasible, actually make it a physical shoe, are not Kanye. It's not Kanye is making the model. Like he's not doing everything. He's also not even doing everything from a design standpoint because, drawing something on a piece of paper doesn't really do much.
Yeah, and we saw in his documentary his process.
Right. So if there's people on that work for Adidas that are working on the shoe and then they use their ideas and designs on another shoe, then like because it's the same thing as like Celeb Benberry. Because you see he leaves and he was working with Kanye, but that was his designs, and now
like
he goes
the croc
somewhere.
that he made. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, in terms of design, it's like if there was more clarity on who's actually really designing the shoes, then there was the potential for that anger to be invalid because you can't take somebody's idea and their contribution.
But it's still Kanye's idea. Just because someone else would put his idea into physical product.
But it's not even just that. I'm talking about people actually design. Like it's
like people that design it and they show Kanye and like, do you like this?
Yeah, it's like that kind of thing. And Kanye's not, because we even saw with the 350. I forget the gentleman, but it was like 3 other white gentlemen that actually made the shoe itself. Like even the design, like the 750, I think it is, was the other one that came out with the turtle doves. Like. Yeah. Literally, they made it, and then they asked Kanye, "Is this okay?" And then he signed off on it. He's like, "Yeah, this is okay." So it's like,
but it's still his likeness, though. Like it's still his name. Like the design is not what's selling the shoe. It's his name. The design's probably the second thing. Like,
which is fine.
The first thing is the name.
Which
People
is
want to say I'm wearing Yeezy.
Which is fine, and he still owns that. But I'm talking about the design part because you're talking about stealing designs. So I'm just addressing that part. Like, if there are other people that have a hand in the design, drawing it all out, like literally actually designing it. And that, even if you just, because I know what you're trying to say. You're trying to say that, they stitched the shoe, so that doesn't count. I'm talking about people actually designing it.
No, I get what you're saying.
If they take their design somewhere else, is that really stealing?
I mean, but the only reason they're doing that is because they use Kanye's likeness to push that design. Like I said, the design, people were clowning this design, if you remember at first. But you know how everything else goes, you get the celebrities who feel cool. Like when Kanye wore the Balenciaga Croc boots. Nobody was wearing those. And you have another few people doing it. It's like, Kanye is a genius. So it's like with these shoes, the design is not what's selling. It's Kanye. Kanye is what sells the shoes initially. And then all the celebrities wear it because they feel cool. I'm wearing something different. It's Kanye. It's easy. I'm wearing something abstract. I'm going to be different. And then you get the after shock where everybody wants to be different. So now you got people buying these shoes off DHgate. So Adidas only could sell a fake dupe of it because of Kanye. Like the only reason people are even probably would buy that, like, I couldn't get the Yeezy one, so I'm just gonna get this one because it looks similar. The only reason they're able to even get that off is because of Kanye's likeness and his name. Like if they would have sold this regular, people probably like, ew, what are those? But it was almost like they wait to see how the design does using Kanye's likeness. And now they're gonna try to profit off of it. Like it is kind of grimy. Because it's one thing if you keep that design to yourself, as an Adidas designer for yourself. But why try to recreate like a dupe and sell it when Kanye's likeness is what's helping you get that money? Like it's his name, it's his likeness at the end of the day that's helping you get money from this shoe. It's not the design. You could agree. Because Adidas has come up with their own designs before that do well. Obviously the NMDs, all those things were their own products. That wasn't collabs or anything. So it's like, didn't keep doing that. Don't try to use Kanye's designs. Multiple times they did this. Not his designs, but his likeness. Like the shoes only got notoriety and that shape and that design only got notoriety because there's the Yeezy name attached to it. You could agree with that, right?
Okay.
No, is that not a fact, a valid reasoning? That Adidas is only trying to make money off of the fact that people are only going to buy it because they can't afford the real thing, or the real thing is sold out. So they know, okay, people are definitely going to buy these because they look like the Yeezys. Like, look how many people reposted it.
Kind of, because the thing is, if you're a company like Adidas, because nobody cares about the exclusivity of Yeezys anymore. They just care about.
People still care.
People don't care about the exclusivity of them.
They do. People still care.
Okay, some people care. Most people don't care because you see there's slides everywhere. People don't really care about the exclusivity of them. So.
Well, okay, sorry, not the exclusivity, but people still care about them. People are still going to wear them. People are still going to buy them.
Yeah, I never said that. That's
cool.
not what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So people don't care about the exclusivity. Nobody's checking. Only 20,000 people.
Okay. Yeah.
Right. So if you're a company it would be advantageous for Adidas to just sell more Yeezys as opposed to making a different design.
Or maybe that's Kanye's point. Maybe they feel like they can't just use his because he has to. I mean, technically, I don't know if he'll have sign off or anything, but maybe it's them trying to be funny or them trying to be slick. Like I don't think too like highly of people enough to not do something like that. Like I think people on Adidas on the board definitely could try to be funny. Like we don't know what goes on behind the scenes and beef that might be happening. They could definitely be trying to be funny.
They could, but I also think that they can only do what's in the contract. So,
but sorry to interrupt, but by them doing this, don't they have less money they have to pay out to Kanye? So instead of pumping out more Yeezys, doesn't it actually makes more sense for them to do something like this because now they don't have to pay Kanye?
It could, but if they're selling these for the same price point, then yeah, that would be true. But if they're not, then no.
But the Yeezys retail are not even super expensive. They're in line kind of with what shoes cost. Like you see,
they're like
off-white Jordan collab was only like $40 more, $30 more than like they were $190, and usually retail for Jordans are like that anyway, $160, $190 anyway. So it's not like it's that much more money with Kanye's name attached to it. So even if they selling these,
so what did Adidas shoes sell for like $220?
I don't know. I don't shop at Adidas.
None.
Well, yeah, Jordans are able to do that.
Maybe the Ultra Boost. So none, because I'm asking, what's the comparison? So if Kanye's selling a Yeezy $350, let's say it's $200, $220, whatever. What price is Adidas selling the dupe for it?
Good question. I'm not even sure.
Because even if they pay out, because I would assume it would be like even if it's $100.
Well, you know how we work in business and we went to school for this stuff. Like they could still do a diagram or whatever, or graph, and still charge like a decent amount less than the Yeezys and still profit more than they would with Kanye, a deal with Kanye, depending on what Kanye's deal is. But you know how like business works. Sometimes even something as little as $5 makes a difference at a year end.
His is
profit
20% royalty, I think, plus
of the yearly sales or every sale.
Every sale, plus whatever his actual like. I don't even know what else how else to explain it. Like if he's in like an actual contractual guarantee, you get $100 million a year, whatever.
Yeah. It's called the Adidas.
But regardless, I just think, I don't know. What does he want? He wants them to stop making dupes, and what else?
I'll read this in a second. I'm trying to see the prices because GOAT price is coming up. Adi Farm retail. GOAT is saying $155 for these.
Usually, if you.
Oh yeah, usually they tell you, right?
Tell you.
But this says it right here. They just came out too, September 2nd.
120.
120. And how much are the Kanye ones? Are those, what are those called? Are those foam runners?
Yeah.
I should know these things. 120. Kanye's are 90. See the shiesty stuff? Now we seeing $90. Kanye's is cheaper. Kanye's are cheaper.
He did want them to be cheaper.
Yeah, but now you see Adidas is on some shiestiness. But this is basically what he said. Like, look, this is a good thing I just found in this tag post. You can see all the people that supported the game. Obviously, it's Diddy. Who's Trouble Man 31? That's T.I. 2 Chainz, Irv Gotti. But the person who posted this picture first was Swiss Beats. That's what I was trying to look for. He's the one who initially posted this. I don't know if he made this X himself. But this is what he said in the caption, which is kind of, I guess, what Kanye was getting at. He says, I usually mind my business, but this is dead wrong. If we let them do this to Kanye, it will happen to us also. This man created this groundbreaking innovation and should be respected as a creative. Ye is only asking for his work to be respected and not stolen. That's not crazy to me. We not buying these. Adidas, you're supposed to be original. Do the correct thing, please. So I guess, Kanye's issue is stealing the designs and then him not even being in those rooms to even make decisions about his own shoes, and now they're stealing designs. I mean, I could get the frustration, like, and now we found out they are selling more, so they're definitely profiting OD because $90 retail plus whatever they have to give Kanye is a lot less than $120 that they're putting in their pocket just into Adidas and whoever else they might have to pay. That's probably a huge significant profit difference, and they're using Kanye's likeness off their foam runner. to sell this Addy foam and like foam. You know, is the foam Addy foam? What are they calling it? So it's still the same materials. Like I don't like that because, like I said, like if they would have sold this Addy foam prior to the foam runner coming out, I don't know what I say. People would have been clowning it. People would have been like, "What are these Jurassic Park shoes?" But it's because Kanye's likeness of this foam bone looking shoe. People are gonna be like, "Ooh, these are hard," because in their mind they're thinking of the foam runner, so they're gonna buy them. Like these people at Adidas know that too. They know that, and I don't like that. Now we just found out too that they will be profiting a lot more. So I can understand the frustration of Kanye, but apparently he came to a deal. But they're still gonna tell these. They already sold, and that's at the bottom line is. I think the best thing to learn from all this is, and Black people need to learn to do this. It sucks because we don't really have a lot of what do you call it? What's like cash flow to really do these things, but like
Yeah, but neither do they, and that's the thing.
no, but Adidas has like a foundation, right? They have a company like Kanye. Like my point was, Kanye needs to do these things on his own. Like he should have Yeezy, which is equivalent to Adidas, and sell all his stuff through just Yeezy brand.
Yeah, he should have never went to Adidas in the first place.
And I know you need the materials, but that's what I mean by infrastructure. Like that's what Kanye even said in his song. Like facts. Like all I needed was the infrastructure. Like that's the thing. Kanye don't have these resources that a company like Adidas has. Like these factories, and it sucks because like you want to do these things on your own, but you don't have the infrastructure. But at this point, he's a billionaire. I think he could figure it out. Especially if he worked with a couple other people.
There's no infrastructure like that. Like in the footwear thing, it's kind of like a weird thing because it's not like there's an Adidas factory, right? Like there's no Nike factory. They just work with random manufacturers in China. The only thing that people in China care about is getting paid.
Yeah.
So that's what the infrastructure, the reason why those companies work with a company like Adidas is because they know that Adidas has the money to pay them. If they knew that Kanye would pay the money, and who knows, because there's questions about people getting paid from Sunday service and getting paid from Yeezy, so who knows? But if a factory knows that they're going to get paid, they don't care who's paying them.
That's true.
So there's no infrastructure.
And I'm sure it's not hard to find the vendors. I mean, now it would be a breach of contract if Kanye went out and used the same exact vendors. I'm sure he would get sued. But I'm sure it's not really hard to find these vendors for the shoes designs that you want. But I mean, I see from Kanye's perspective of like, originally he was a Nike. Like, Nike's got good shoes. So it's like you trust that they're going to be able to put your designs to life with their materials. But it's like, and then it's like, all right, well, Nike, failed me. So I'm going to move to Adidas, which I know is another reputable shoe company. So I wonder, if he just has this attachment to those names because he came from, you have a story. Like you came from nothing. And these are brands you looked up to. But I don't think it would be that hard to do your research. Like you see Kim with Skims, like, her vendor, I think people tried to think they found it or something, but it might be some type of contract obligation. So people thought they could buy it from her vendor. It's like, nah, like you can't. That's closed. I think people might have been able to find it, but you see, like her stuff. I brought some stuff. I gotta check out the quality for myself, but people say the quality is really good. Like she got a really good vendor. So if she could get a good vendor for her clothes, and Kanye had such a big contribution to Skims and like putting her on to his designer and everything. Helping her with the name, the color scheme. Like, it literally looks like Yeezys. It looked like Yeezy season 1.
He's just chasing his childhood. Like,
that's what I'm saying. He's chasing the childhood.
Working with Nike, working with Adidas,
like
working with Gap. Like,
it's like fulfilling his childhood trauma or something.
The problem with that is that you're chasing partnerships. You're not chasing your own brand.
Because he wants that attachment to it. Like you said, it's like childhood fulfillment, but also like Kanye Adidas, like Yeezy Adidas, and Yeezy Nike.
And listen, you can... I mean, you need the money for it, but like you see Elon wanted to take over Twitter, so he didn't do it yet.
I don't know if he's going to anymore.
Well, they might force him to. He might not have a choice, depending on how the court ruling goes.
Yeah.
But he wanted to change Twitter, so what did he do? He bought himself into the board. So if you want to be on a board, then you can pay
enough money.
You can pay for that. Like all those people that are on the board, I mean, typically you have to be voted in. But it's kind of hard for a board to deny you. Yeah, because
it's just majority ownership.
Yeah, that's the thing. You could buy out the whole company and then fire everybody on the board. Because if Elon ends up buying Twitter, that's what he's going to do. He's going to fire everybody in the company.
Yeah, and then they redo Twitter.
And then redo it. So if he wants a spot, you got to fight for it. Just in the same way that even though they're white, that's what he's doing with this. Like I think he fought in private, but then they're not hearing him. So it's like, all right, now I'm going to embarrass you. Like I have like basically what Kanye's saying is like I have
like, what's the word? Influence. Like, don't forget who you messing with. Like, damned if you do, damned if you don't. That's what he said about them. He's like, if you guys let me go, you're after, basically. If you don't, you're after. Like, you. So we're gonna have to figure something out because his influence was crazy. Like,
but that doesn't, because that's somebody that's like another layer that people don't understand about business, because you're talking to a publicly traded company. Like, you can't just get a board seat from a publicly traded company as if that doesn't have to go through like approval from all your shareholders and everybody else. Like, these are votes. Like, people in real life have to actually vote for these things. It's not just, I sell a lot of sneakers, so let me make financial decisions about the whole company. When do we know if Kanye knows how to run a company, really?
Yeah.
Like
he might not at all. Like,
does he know how to manage payroll? Like, do you know how to do all of the other facets of what somebody on a board seat would do?
And that's his issue. I think he just wants control, but he doesn't necessarily have the skill set to even.
And I don't know. He might.
But I think he might. But I feel like what he kind of saying, he just wants more like creative control. He wants more of a say on what's happening with his shoes. But I get there has to be a system of checks and balances of business. I think he needs to understand that. That's why I really wonder what this consensus he got to with them. Like, I would love to know.
You know what another example is? There was Elliott Management, who is one of the clients I manage at where I work. They wanted PayPal to change something. So what did they do? They bought a shitload of PayPal and forced PayPal to change these things, and they have to do it.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, if he brought Adidas, or is the correct term bought? I always forget. Bought is buy.
Well, he couldn't.
Brought is bring.
Adidas has way too much money, but
yeah. But if he was able to like be a majority owner, he could have a say, and then he could pick who he wants to be the creative director of these things. Like, you could hire all your creatives in your life that you want to be in charge, or the best people that you feel like would be the best for the company. Because you see too, he posted the picture of everybody on the board. Now somebody else too he had an issue with. He said that he feels like there's too much people in bed with each other. Because there was somebody who was like working at Adidas who also was like the head of something at JP Morgan. So it's like
that's how that works.
Yeah, but I think he's getting frustrated at that. And it's like I know I get it, because from like a business standpoint, like, you see everybody in those pictures, all white, all Asian. It's like we don't have no voices in these spaces, and it's like that's why I feel like he was so hurt by that DC guy. As a black man, he probably felt like he would have his back, but I guess he didn't. But it's like they're all in bed with each other, and it's like he should have known that. Like, when you go into business, it's tricky. And I guess, like, he was saying he was trying to get money from JP Morgan to do stuff like to help him. I don't know if he was planning on buying shares, maybe. But and like JP Morgan's work, the girl who works at Adidas is working at JP Morgan, so he said he felt like he was getting blocked, like.
But yeah, that's how that works.
Yeah.
Like, you
they
pay
playing the game.
You pay your way into these places. Like, if you go to any museum, the people that are on the board of those museums are people that run multi-billion-dollar organizations. Like, yeah, you make money to put yourself in positions of power. You don't make money to just make money in that one spot. Yeah. And the same principles that he's trying to apply, yeah, other people do that. Yeah, like, yeah, I got money, so let me put some money over here, and now I control this section of real estate, and that's what gives you power, and that's what he's looking for. He just doesn't know how to go about doing that. Yeah,
and like, but it's probably just frustrating from his standpoint, because he's still learning these things, and it's like,
number one is stop chasing partnerships. Like, you asking for permission for people. When you own your own company, you do whatever you want. Adidas doesn't have to ask anybody for it to do anything, but you have to ask them because you wanted to go into partnership with them. And I know that's easier said than done, and I don't know anything about running any sort of company in any capacity, but what I do know is that if you strike out on your own, just like the creators of Adidas did, then you can do whatever you want, and you don't have to chase a partnership. Because look at H&M. H&M publicly puts out all of their vendors, exactly where they source every single thing. They say, my hoodies came from this specific factory. They don't care. They'll tell you all of that. And they did those things. Hens and Moritz were the people that created H&M. Why it's called H&M.
Yeah, I know that.
And they... Look at it. You can't go to a mall without H&M.
Yeah, and they're huge.
And they're selling...
It's very successful.
They're selling $5 T-shirts.
Yeah. This stuff is actually really inexpensive. really expensive. So
And so anybody can do it, but you know, you got to stop chasing the partnership, because you see JP Morgan right here is on our screen.
yeah,
Hosting
look at all
the
the
US
things.
Open.
Yeah,
They selling
American Express.
they're buying $10,000 tickets to watch people play tennis. Like it's just a different level of
It's a different level of wealth, and like I
this
would pray that Black people we could get to that point one day, but we're so far behind.
to
Slavery
start.
and Jim Crow, all that stuff wasn't that long ago. Like I think Black people gotta remember that. Like we got a long ways.
But to start, stop chasing partnerships. You should not chase the let me collab with McDonald's.
Yeah, because that's the thing with Gap. Like I was like, oh, this is a dream collaboration, and I'm like, nothing's gonna go wrong with this. Like even with Adidas, I'm like, nothing's gonna go wrong with this. He literally made a whole song praising them and like dragging Nike and Outlook. I'm like, Kanye gotta realize he's gonna come across this problem with every single brand he works with. Like the solution is just making your own thing. Like, but I get he's trying to fight for change. Like I think he should still fight for change. Oops.
But the thing,
and whatever level of like he feels like input that these creators should have. Like I get that, and like he shouldn't tolerate disrespect. He shouldn't tolerate Adidas doing the design thing. But at the end of the day, like you said, he gotta get his own design team. Then get people that patent those designs that work for you, that work for just the Yeezy brand. Don't get Adidas designers to do those things. Cause then that's just the law. That's legal. How you say legality? Like if they have the designs, they have the designs. So we might think it's morally wrong, and it is, in my opinion. But they could do what they want legally.
yeah, and that's the thing. They wouldn't step out and do those things if it wasn't
Legal.
Yeah.
Like they don't want to get sued.
Yeah. So, and I have on the screen for people listening, Adidas's market cap as of right now, and by market cap that means their total value is 27.45 billion euros.
They got bands. They got bands.
I'll do the dollar calculation.
Adidas. I actually realized Adidas is his name is Adi, the first three letters,
and last name Dassler.
Dassler, so it's first three letters of his last name, Adidas.
Yes.
I was like,
you see that number? That's how much you need to do. That's a lot of zeros. That's 3 commas.
That's how much you need to buy out that company.
To buy out the company, Kanye would need
$27,400,335,000. Now he don't got that. Even him being worth $1 billion don't mean he got $1 billion. Like people don't realize that net worth doesn't mean you got $1 billion in the bank. That just means at any moment the value of all his assets and his stock is $1 billion. However billion.
The best way people should think about it is if you took everything that you own and sold it, that's what your net worth is.
Like your car out there was like $26,000, so your net worth. I mean, we got student loans, so our net worth unfortunately is negative, but like that's what it is. Like just because I got a $25,000 car out there, don't mean I got $25 in my bank account. I mean, I got more than that, but that's not the point. Like, but if I was able to take like you said, the value of your house, like. Doesn't house get added to your net worth? Like if we were to get a $500,000 house today that we only put like $50,000 down on, our net worth would still be $500,000 because our house, that value of the house. Oh wait, no, it's the value of what negative. We put in.
Because that's still considered a debt.
understand.
Just like a student loan would
be. You're right.
And you would pay that back, but the second that you pay off,
put in, the second that you pay in, that whole thing is yours. So like,
when you make that last final payment,
mean, like you see, Cardi B's house might have been $5 million, so that's $5 million to part of her net worth. That don't mean she got $5 million on hand, but that means if she were to sell her house today and all her value of all her assets, she would have that money. Like people are like a little slow. I know you guys don't really got good education and not really smart, but net worth doesn't mean liquid cash. So
yeah, I think it's estimated his liquid cash is 100.
And there's no way to even know that too. It's estimations too. That's another thing. A lot of
based on publicly available.
People be like, "Oh my God, this person's net worth is only $1 million." I mean, net worth could be underestimated or it could be over. And also, your net worth, people have under the table money. Mm-hmm. So it could be the opposite, where your net worth is like $5 million, but you really got $20 million in the bank or on cash. It could be the opposite.
You could literally just see it, right? Like Drake bought $100 million mansion, right? Mm-hmm. And
like he brought cash.
Did he?
Did he? I'm asking you.
No, I don't know. I ain't paying attention.
Or his plane with his name on it. I wonder who owns that.
The plane he does not. That is actually owned by another company that allows. They don't even pay him. They actually just allow him to use it for free.
That's crazy.
For free. as long as he flies it frequently, so that way it brings attention to that company's planes. Because
people post that picture all the time with that of it's blue, right? Because that girl who saw him in Turkish Caicos, that's the weird thing. You know, she saw him like his plane at the airport like 2 days before she actually saw him at like whatever it's called. What does that say it was called? Noah's Ark. Imagine how weird it is, right? You see his plane and you actually see him and next to him at a bar. Like that's so weird. But the island's not that big, so.
Because to buy a plane like that is like those big jets are like $1 billion.
Yeah, that's what I'm about to say. I'm like,
$500 million,
and that's a big jet.
Yeah, it's a big jet, jumbo jet.
But people will be like, "Oh my God, Drake's so rich. He got that jet."
No, the deal
he didn't buy the jet
to bring them attention. It's basically a sponsorship deal. Like you can use our plane for free, and part of the deal was that he has to use it frequently. So that's why
you see it all the time.
Yeah,
not a bad deal though.
But yeah, so just people got to stop chasing partnerships, stop doing collabs. Unless you
don't care,
unless you're using the money to put it into something like that, right? Like Travis Scott doing McDonald's. That shouldn't be the goal. The goal should not be securing the partnership.
Yeah,
like the goal.
They're using you. Like, yeah, you're making money from it, but keep in mind these companies are using you too and making themselves richer. Like the rich get richer.
So
and meanwhile, you gassed over it.
Don't chase a partnership, and like if you're doing commercials, if you're doing that whole advertising thing, that shouldn't be the goal. The goal should be to take the money, and not everybody's a business person, but assuming you want to be a business person, have influence, make a company like that, you should be taking that capital and putting it into something else.
Yeah,
like
it should be just what what you want too. Like Kanye, clearly this is what he wants, so he should be doing this, and he might be behind the scenes, but it don't look like it.
If people are making $1 million off a show, you know what you can make. What kind of company, what kind of business you can make with $1 million? You know what kind of company you can invest in?
But what do they do with that $1 million? Buy a car, buy all these watches, and like fine, you can do that. You can. You're allowed to do whatever you want with your money. But at the same time, you could do that, but don't complain when you go broke, or don't complain when you're not owning stuff, or the white man and white people got so much money. Like you have opportunities to make that generational wealth and double, triple what you have. So can't keep blaming the white man for everything.
Yeah, stop chasing partnerships, and then you don't have to answer to anybody and ask for their permission. Because this was the same thing. It's like literally the same thing about the Nike thing. The whole reason why the Nike deal got canceled was because first off, they didn't want to pay him royalties. Now, at the time, Kanye was an innovator because if you weren't an athlete at Nike, then you wouldn't get royalties.
Yeah, rappers wasn't having shoe deals either. That was like a new thing.
Right, yeah. They did the one-off shoes, but people weren't getting royalties. But also, they didn't give him creative control to put out more colors and all that kind of stuff. So you're just gonna keep running into these things because these are publicly traded companies. So I understand how it is when you get in these boardrooms and meeting rooms and stuff like that. Like if you're even able to get in there, it might be frustrating because it's the thing about business and art don't mix because they don't. It's the same thing about like fashion. Like for example, like I feel like a lot of new Dior and Gucci is super trash because they have to sell clothes because they're owned by these financial firms. Yeah, it's not like Gucci is just its own independent company selling clothes and selling T-shirts. It's like there's a whole private equity firm that owns Gucci, and they also own Abercrombie, and they own all these different things. So you have to answer to a lot of people, you have to answer to people that have a lot more money than you do.
And that's just how the life game works. Like if you want to avoid all that, you just have to be uber rich. Unfortunately, you have to be those people at the top of the food chain.
You know what it's like? It's
rare.
It's almost like wanting your boss to give you like pay me extra $300,000 like right now. Yeah. And it's like, nah. It's like, nah. If you want that money, then go get it yourself then.
Yeah, that's the thing. Just because you want it doesn't mean it's going to happen. I think Kanye needs to learn that. Like,
and this is not the way to go about business either.
Yeah, like, cause now you look crazy. Like, honestly, and I'm a Kanye fan, but all these beefing with these companies is not a good look. Like, beefing all these CEOs, posting their pictures, posting text messages.
And the thing
that's real tricky. Like, imagine you seeing him posting, like, he posting a screenshot of your full name and your information. Like, doxing is such a crazy thing. And it's like his fans, I mean, I'm a fan, but I'm not a psycho fan. Like his psycho fans literally probably find these people, probably DMing them right on Facebook or whatever, LinkedIn.
And the thing about that,
who wants to work with somebody like that?
That he should learn too is knowing how deep businesses, you should probably not do that, because the one person that you piss off here is connected
I say
to.
that everybody's in bed together.
Yeah, if everybody's in bed together, then why do that to somebody? Because
Yeah.
all it's gonna do is just prevent you. Because that's the whole thing. Oh, they try to blackball me. They forgot about two things. My blackballs.
Yeah.
It's like kind of, but yeah, like that's how it works, because these
And it's
money is money. Like
Yeah.
you're like, yes, Lucian Grange, who runs Universal, is definitely going to be in Martha's Vineyard somewhere with the CEO of JP Morgan
Yeah.
and the CEO
they're
of
all
Morgan
friends.
Stanley.
Like these top people are all friends. All these people that work at these big companies that you need to thrive if you're trying to do these things.
You know how many rich people and wealthy people I walk by on a daily basis? There's a lot.
Don't even, yeah, you wouldn't even know.
No, I know.
No,
I seen the suits.
Well, yeah, but I mean, like you wouldn't even know their names or who they are on top of your head. Yeah.
But they got way more power than you do. Like there's.
And that's the thing. If Kanye needs to get there. Like if you know you need these people, don't burn bridges. If you feel like you don't need them, then prove to the world that you don't need them, because you might not need them. Like if you and all your rich friends get together, they could do these things. Like that's the thing about Black people. We don't ever get together because somebody, like you see, we were talking about Kim creating her private equity firm. If Black people just got together, they could do these things. Create your equity firm, be the next big bank, like do these things. But it's not happening.
And what she's doing, and where I will give her a shout out, is that the person that she created it with is someone that had a long tenure at an investment firm called Carlyle.
Mm-hmm. So she's having help, but that's fine. A lot of these big people who are really successful, they had help. They collaborated, right? But that's why like a lot of these company names are named after two people. Like you said, H&M. It's named after two people. You know, a lot of times these companies are named after multiple people because you need multiple people.
You see this number?
Jesus.
The Carlyle Group is a global investment firm that currently has $376 billion worth of assets under management. Jesus. And the gentleman that is creating this private equity firm with Kim Kardashian was a big contributor to that number.
So she got really big success.
But that's the type of shit that you need to do.
Yeah.
And doing that type of thing where
that.
you're starting a firm together, because that's no different than what a hedge fund is. Though that's how you make the money. So so partnering in that sense makes sense. Like you can't start a firm by yourself.
Yeah, that's the thing. And that's why like I was saying, a lot of these company names are named after multiple people, right?
Yeah.
Like even like JP Morgan and Chase work together, and they're two big companies, and they have like JP Morgan and Chase, right? They work together sometimes.
JP Morgan owns Chase.
Oh, okay. That's the thing.
Yeah.
They brought them out.
JP Morgan was its own firm and Chase was its own firm.
Okay. And then
and both gentlemen a long time ago. You know.
Yeah.
Well, not both gentlemen, not the originators, but like eventually they became one, and then Chase,
that's different then.
Chase became its retail part of their firm, and then JP Morgan is their like financial industry.
Yeah.
So Chase is explicitly for like the normal people, and JP Morgan is for the wealthy people, the investment part. Chase doesn't have any investment.
Yeah. Oh yes. Oh well, I mean, I think PricewaterhouseCoopers is they came together too, but like that's like an example. Like those are three different people. Mm-hmm. Price, Waterhouse, and Coopers. Those are like three different people. So like a lot of these brands and a lot of these, brands, but a lot of these businesses started as collaborations, and it's like you need people. So Kanye has so many rich people in his network, and it's like Black people could really, like imagine a Black-owned JP Morgan, like something like that. We could create that. But started, like I don't know what the reluctancy is. I don't want to speak on people's money, but it's like that's the best solution. You got to be that top of the totem pole, man. You can't be mad at other companies for not being that.
You know what part of the issue? It's like I literally the theme of today. Like I was saying earlier, it's you don't know what you don't know, right? So when you look at somebody, and I don't know these people personally. I don't know what they do. I don't know what their business setups are. It's not public to me. Mm-hmm. But Rick Ross owns a ton of Wingstops, right? Mm-hmm. The problem with that is that Rick Ross says that Rick Ross owns a ton of Wingstops. It should be R&R Investment Management LLP owns these Wingstops. It shouldn't be. If you want to get into that level of money, it's not about you, and that's the biggest thing. Yeah. Like it's not about you.
It's a partnership.
It's the partnerships. You have to also allow other people to take equity out in your firm as well. It's not I'm gonna wholly 100% own this company, because if that was the case, we wouldn't have anything, right? We
would have nothing. If everybody walked around with that selfish mindset, none of these companies exist.
Look at Mark Zuckerberg, right? He started Facebook, but
His-
needed the money. He
Yeah.
needed some investments. He needed his CFO to get a loan to help run the business. It's
You
the same
can't do it on
thing.
your own. No, nobody can do these things on their own. It's not possible.
But
Maybe one day, but it's not really possible.
that's something different. Like partnership on something like a piece of art, like a shoe or a T-shirt, is different than partnership in owning a company. Partnership in owning a company is okay because no one company owns 100% of themselves. Like Fidelity owns part of JP Morgan, just like JP Morgan owns part of Fidelity. Like it all works together. But you don't know what you don't know. But I just think that creating your own private equity firm is one of the closer steps to owning and putting yourself in those rooms.
Yeah, and like I said off camera, like if Kim's private equity firm is successful, like those kids are set for life. Like I just hope Kanye just makes smart decisions for the rest of his life. But we'll see what happens with him. Like it's gonna be interesting to see how stuff pans out. Like he deleted everything, but I just worry that a lot of his stuff is like from a place of mania, and I hate giving boxing mental health into a box and making it seem like, oh, he must have been in a manic episode when he could just be, we're all humans that vent. So I don't want to throw that stigma out there, but my fear is that he's just gonna do stuff that he regrets, and then it's just like,
Look, the Carlisle Group. Look how many number of founders. 230.
yeah, exactly. Like you need people.
Founded in 1998. They came up.
Jesus, they're younger than us.
Yeah, younger than us, and they're up $300 billion.
Crazy. Good for them. What's PGIM's network? Assets under management.
Not a lot.
Don't laugh at them. I don't even work for PGIM. I work for Prudential. Okay. PGIM's kind of like their own separate entity. I mean, they're still under the Prudential umbrella, but
Look, funding round 667. They raised $67 billion in funding, meaning they
initially,
they took well, just in general, because you could raise funding even
while you're active.
While you're active, $67 billion that they got from other people to be able to flip that to 300 something. So you always need somebody, but how you use people is the thing. If you want to use people for manufacturing and infrastructure, you're never going to get anywhere. You need to own the manufacturer.
Yeah.
And
it's not possible to own everything. Like you could, but it's a lot of work, but you still need people at the end of the day.
Yeah. I need to be his financial advisor.
I know, but I feel like he would get mad at you.
He would.
From you telling him the truth. Kanye, I feel like Kanye the type that got yes men around him. This is my observation.
I think everybody that has any level of success has yes men around them, unfortunately.
Yeah, because you don't want to get on his bad side.
Except for, I would say in the entertainment world at least. Because the thing about entertainment is that the people that are around you want the clout and they have the benefit of being around you. So then it kind of like makes them poppin'. But like in finance, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all. So the people that really have the money, there's no clout in it.
They be telling themselves about each other. They be fighting. Like
they'll curse each other out.
Even in the business world, like at work, they be doing that.
Because the only thing that connects them all is money, and not everybody wants to make money. So
they don't care. You want to make sure that these decisions are right with the money you make. Compared to clout is clout.
Yeah. So people in finance will curse each other out, but somebody in entertainment is not going to curse you out for doing something stupid because they want the new Yeezy shade.
Yeah, and they're benefiting off of you in the short term too. They're benefiting off whatever money you might give them, but you buying them meals, you getting them into parties, So they're not gonna give you financial advice. That's why you saw what happened with Mike Tyson, because everybody around him was benefiting off the money. They wasn't giving him financial advice. They wanted him to keep spending, so they could get money. But
partners and managing directors make an average of $22 million. Anyway, what else we got?
But yeah, he needs to stop fighting with them. Stop fighting with Gap. But the Gap, the Gap told him that he had or his team, I think, said that you had to stay off the internet or Instagram about, like, don't say nothing for 10 days. So he was like, all right, fine, 10 days. So I guess he's on punishment. But see, it's like, that's not good. You don't want to get in illegal stuff. Like, and I say, fight the good fight. Of course, fight for what's right. But
what did Gap do?
His main thing, he said, I think I got it confused with Adidas, but his thing with Gap, he was like, Gap, is having meetings about Yeezy without Yeezy in the room or something. So his issue was them, I guess, still, the same thing, like them making decisions and like something with like physical stores. This is like a whole bunch of stuff. And I just think, like we said, he just needs to get his own stuff. Like, you're gonna have to work with these companies. And I think that's the bottom line. Like, you can still fight for what's right, but you also have to, you gotta respect that's how business works.
But that kind of makes sense though, because you wouldn't do that in finance either. You wouldn't necessarily like if two businesses are doing some sort of collaboration, or like, I don't even know, I'm trying to think of a more tangible example. You wouldn't necessarily have the board from company A in the room together with company B discussing, because that's not their business, right? Like, it's not, that's like a conflict of interest actually, almost. Because
it's like you have to let the company do this thing. Like, I get it, like you might feel sneaky or weird, but like, what do you expect? You're just a partnership. Like,
for example, it would be the equivalent of when your manager gives you a raise, right? The people that are in the room discussing your raise, you're not in the room while they're discussing what they should do.
Like, when my managers talk to the vice president and the vice president goes to HR or whatever, like, because how does it work? Like, when they come up with your raise, do they tell HR what they want to give you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, and so we're not in the rooms when my manager's telling the VP my performance. We're not in the room when the manager's talking about each other about my performance and then coming up with that decision. We're not in the room with that.
Actually, the way it works is that...
Why would you want to be in the room? I mean, I get it from Kanye's point, though. You might want to be in the room. But what my company does, we have self-appraisals. Do you have them too? Self-appraisals? Like, where you could talk about your own stuff?
Oh, yeah. Your own accomplishments and whatever.
Yeah. So, like, I feel comfortable enough. Like, all right, they give you the free will to type as much as you want. And you could pick 2 people or 3 people to work with, that you work with, to review you. So I feel comfortable knowing, okay, they have my self-appraisal, and I said everything. I made sure I fought for all the stuff, know what I did all this year, and you guys use that now to your advantage to decide on, my raise. If I didn't have a self-appraisal, I might feel a little weird, like, maybe I should be in there and just to fight for what my raise should be, since I'm the one at the end of the day who knows the work I put in, partially. Obviously managers know too, but you also know some stuff they might forget.
No, I get it, but at the same time, it's like...
At the same time, it's like you got to play the game, and that's life sometimes.
It also depends on what the... Because they're allowed to have a conversation, right? Like, they can't, like, have to have, like...
You can't just be sitting there, like, in a corner.
Like, it's not your company.
Yeah,
like,
it's
a partnership.
It's not.
You're basically... It's the same thing as, like, basically the equivalent of Dr. Dre Beats headphones, right? Dr. Dre didn't own that company. That all he did was slap his name on a pair of headphones that Monster, the company, created, right? So, like, that's all it is. You're just putting your name on a product as somebody, like, it's a partnership. It's not... You're not a part of Gap. Like, you don't work there. You're not an employee. You don't own any stock there. Like, you're not on the board. And if you want to, you can, but you're not. So you can't act like it. Like, that would be the equivalent of me walking into any bank and being like, put me on the board because I have a bank account here. Like, that's not really how it works.
Yeah. And it's just like, like you said, at the end of the day, it's like, it's not your company, and they're allowed to make decisions on physical stores and all that stuff. This is stuff that affects their bottom line.
If with that specifically, that's if it was in the contractual...
Yeah, because that's the thing. You have contracts, too. That's the thing about Kanye. Like, you agree to these contracts, but then you get upset about stuff.
Yeah, you can't get upset about it if you sign the contract. Like, it's the same thing. We've had the same conversation with so many rappers. Like, you sign the contract. It's right there.
Yeah.
If they use...
There's nothing that they, like...
If they use confusing language, like, first of all, Google exists. Like, you can look up what these terms mean.
Yeah.
Lawyers exist. Like, that's what they get paid to do. And the problem is people hire entertainment lawyers. You can't hire an entertainment lawyer because they're all in bed together. You can hire any other lawyer, anybody that's ever read a contract professionally, and they'll be able to outline what this contract is saying to you. And then... sign it if you want, and don't sign it if you don't want to.
Yeah,
and then you can't complain about anything.
And then just ask questions too.
Because there's no debate. Like,
you're able to ask questions in those rooms too.
Yeah, it's legally binding. There's no debate. If it's on a piece of paper, they're gonna put all of the terms, Usually they're very vague. I will say that, so it leaves room for interpretation so that they could fight it in court if they need to. But still, it's right there.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like they like put handcuffs on you.
And now made you sign it.
And now they're selling 350s.
Yeah. And this is not something else too. I guess like it's the same thing with Adidas. They basically copied it. Like this is Gap, and that's obviously the Kanye influence. That looks like the Yeezy Gap stuff. So it's the same thing with Adidas. That he's having the same issue basically. They're stealing designs. They're using his likeness and his thing.
I wonder if in the contract it says that then.
That's what I'm saying. It could say that because if they're legally able to do that, then it's legal. Is it morally wrong? Yes.
But is it then? If you signed it, is it even morally wrong?
Yeah, because you agreed to it.
Like if you tell me I could slap you in the face in this contract and I slap you in the face, you can't get mad when you get slapped.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm done.